This is going to be the first in what I hope will be a series of videos on difficulty and accessibility options, and to start off with I want to broach a controversial subject and give a controversial opinion, and that's that I'd like less games to have difficulty select options, or at least I'd like more games to have less difficulty select options. Now I've put that Elder Scrolls Oblivion difficulty slider up here because, bluntly put, Elder Scrolls Oblivion is one of the few games where having a ton of difficulty settings makes sense, because it's not very well designed. Now part of the reason is that it's ridiculously ambitious and the leveling system can often sort of break how the game works, and to me, the difficulty settings in this game are almost like a safety net. There's something to help you out when the game just stops properly working and being fun because of how you've leveled or what order you've done quests. But then you get to more tightly designed games like, let's just say, Uncharted, and I'll give you an example of where I think this kind of mentality starts to go off the road. First of all, it basically ensures that your game doesn't really need to be all that tightly designed. Like, you look at some games on their hardest settings and you're just seeing something that's completely broken and doesn't really work. People just throwing themselves at something over and over again and winning, not because they necessarily get better or figure something out, but just because through sheer force of will and luck they eventually spam their way to the end. You know, it's just, you look at some of this stuff and it just looks bad. I'm not going to claim that there are no points in which the Soul games are unfair, but I absolutely guarantee had they had something like that in there, people would have called it out. But because difficulty settings, well, guess what? Just tone it down. Then you get to the issue of, well, not everything can be all that easily changed. Like, affecting how much health an enemy has is pretty easy, same for how much health a player character has. But then you get to, like, the core level design stuff. Like, changing the difficulty of a platformer is going to be a lot more hard. Same for trying to change the difficulty of a heavily puzzle based game. Like, you wonder why with the newer Tomb Raiders they put most of the actual tombs into optional areas you don't really need to visit. Answer is because they can't just be made easy by sliding down a slider. You wonder why some games have puzzles which are barely even puzzles, they're just ridiculously simple. It's because this stuff needs to be at a level where a player who's going to play it on its easiest setting and can't play it on anything harder than that is still capable of beating it. Getting back to combat, I just sort of think it's disingenuous to suggest that simply changing health and damage and stuff like that doesn't matter, because it does a lot. Like the feel of taking someone down with a 3-hit combo versus someone who will only go down with a 4-hit combo is actually quite a big change in the overall feel of the game. Same for an enemy which just goes down instantly in one hit no matter what. And with harder settings, it's not particularly satisfying to just scroll away at someone and hit some easy enemy over and over again for like 2 minutes to kill them off. Like, any big confrontation is going to feel a lot worse if you just have to put no effort in at all. It's something I actually really don't like about games with excessive amounts of RPG bullshit. Like, you get to the big final, and because you actually enjoyed the game quite a lot and spent a lot of time doing side stuff you didn't need to do, the bad guy who's been built up all this time just goes down like that. Like, there's nothing. It just feels like massively underwhelming. Basically, I'm just arguing for more of a tailored and carefully designed experience rather than one where the player's just expected to move around some bars until it sort of works out okay for them.